An immense amount of fundamental data coming out this week, folks. Okay, we got 4 central bank meetings. All right, we got to talk about the tariffs that have been imposed here in the U.S. And we just had 2 elections over there in the ECB. Let's talk about it. Roll the intro. Traders, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another High Impact. It's your boy Kleveland. Hope you guys are having an awesome Monday. Okay, shot yesterday's Sunday market breakdown. Make sure you guys go check that out. It'll be down in the description below. We had some setup ideas that we're looking for, potential little correction here on that Euro USD, and we're actually getting it at the moment, okay? But we'll talk about that in a second. There's so much fundamental data coming out this week that we're going to be throwing out high impacts all week long, and we're going to be switching up exactly how we shoot these things, okay? I don't want to be spieling out everything happening over the week in one video, especially, if something, interesting happens, I want to talk about it. So we might be pushing out high impacts throughout the week. And again, let me know what you guys think of that, okay? So 4 central bank meetings, tariff negotiations happening right now. Trump is now mentioning NAFTA, and he might lift the tariffs if new NAFTA agreements come out. Here's the screenshot of his tweet early this morning. He's on it. A lot of people say he's on Russian time. I agree. Folks, those tariffs are going to have massive implications over the entire global economy, so we have to make sure we keep an eye on it, okay? So look, we're going to be pushing these out throughout the entire week. You guys want to make sure that you are subscribed.
Like the video for your boy.
So in this high impact, we're going to be focusing on the elections that happened over in the ECB and the data that's coming out today, Monday. Okay, so we had 2 elections this weekend in Germany and in Italy. Now, the Germany election went fairly smoothly. It looks like Angela Merkel is going to get the policy holder she wants to get things passed over in Germany. Okay, Germany, the largest economy in the entire ECB. You're going to see massive implications of different PMIs that are be coming out, and there's different bond market releases that are coming out this week as well. We're going to talk about those later this week. Now, Italy, on the other hand, they had a little bit of a tie-up. Okay, it looks like in their parliament, there's going to have to be another vote, and that vote may last for the next 50 days or so. And we did see a little bit of a sell-off because of that data that came out, the fact that Italy is not going to be passing along basically who's going to be leading the party there over the next 50 or so days. That's going to bring a little bit of uncertainty, and we saw that sell-off there in the Euro USD. Okay, now how far of a sell-off will we see? We don't know. Now, on many occasions, like in the Netherlands, for example, there was a Netherlands election, there was a Dutch election, and actually we didn't see too much volatility when they had to take a pause and kind of map things out and count and recount some votes. So people are expecting the same thing to happen here when it comes to Italy. Italy, not the largest economy over in the ECB, okay, and it's not like this has anything to deal with any kind of, recession from the ECB, or this has nothing to do with their bank failures. This has everything to do with the government in place, so you don't really see too much of a cash implication as of yet, okay? So this downside move that we're seeing on the Euro U, if we see a continuation, I don't think it will have I don't think it'll be because of what's happening over there in Italy. It might be because of all the different data that we got coming out later on this week. Thursday, by the way, is the ECB meeting, but again, we're going to be talking about that later on in the week as well. Now, these tariffs, how are these tariffs going to have implications on our economies? Remember, folks, whenever we're talking about different economic data and different policy decisions that are made in these economies, we want to relay that back over to the cash markets. How's that going to affect the supply and demand of the actual currency itself? Now, obviously, a 25% tariff on aluminum and a 10% tariff on steel is going to have massive implications in the automobile industry. It's going to have, even in the retail industry, iPhones are made with steel. I mean, this is happening in Canada, this is happening in ECB, this is happening in Australia, China, Japan. This is a global tariff. He was mentioning earlier how Canada, has not been treating our farmers fairly, and the second we get a better deal with NAFTA, we'll start to see those tariffs pull back a bit. We don't really know what's going on. Now, I think Trump is backpedaling on his tariff statements a bit because a 25% and a 10% tariff on aluminum and steel are going to have way wider implications than I think he understands, all right? I mean, if you think about it, BMW, Lexus, Audi, Kia, all these different car companies have headquarters and distribution centers here in the U.S., okay, when you export and import steel, that's going to affect the U.S. job market. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands, probably millions of jobs are created via the automotive industry, and a 25% tariff on the main components of cars could probably slow the demand of cars because prices will increase, which could hurt jobs. All right, so again, that's just maybe one variable or one offshoot that tariffs could have, and there are a lot of other things. People are now a little bit worried about natural gas. What if there are natural gas tariffs? We want to start doing more fracking here in the United States. What if he puts a tariff on natural gas? I mean, that'll get Saudi Arabia and the entire OPEC up in arms. Okay, so we have to keep an eye on what's happening there. Let's see what he mentions when it comes to the NAFTA agreements, and it's a good sign actually because before NAFTA was a no-go, it seemed as if he didn't want NAFTA to exist at all. But now that he's mentioning, hey, I will pull back on the tariffs if we can meet some kind of conclusions with these NAFTA agreements, means that might be a good sign for Mexico. That actually might be a good sign for Canada if things end positively. But with Trump, we just don't know. With the Paris agreements, you guys got to remember, way back in the day, he was mentioning, hey, I want to meet some kind of conclusion, or I want to make some kind of deal with the Paris agreements, but there wasn't really a deal to be made. And then out of nowhere, again, he mentions, hey, Paris agreement, we're not doing it, blah, blah, blah. Same thing could be happening here with this whole tariff idea. He may say, hey, I want to do some agreements and change things up with NAFTA, but at the end of the day, he may impose the tariffs and just cut NAFTA out overall, period. I mean, he backpedaled last week on the NRA and stuff. We just don't really know. I don't think you should start placing claims on what's happening. One thing you should look at, though, is the different tariffs that are happening, because those are there, those are imposed, and we got to execute on the data that is actually being processed in the entire administration as a whole. Okay, later on today, we do have a lot of data coming out for Australia. We have a 30-year bond release coming out. We have different bank rates coming out. Again, Australia is kind of gearing up to having some conversations with their interest rate policy. Australia is sitting really nice at a lower structure on the monthly time frame. Any kind of Aussie positive news that comes out would give this market a nice push back up into structure here from that February sell-off. Okay, so I am looking at Australia for a potential buy opportunity. And remember, on the GBP/AUD, a short move on the GBP/AUD, something that we were looking for yesterday, again, would lead us to a nice sell-off there on the GBP/AUD, which would also mean that we're seeing some more Aussie strength. Okay, guys, look, if you got any questions, totally let me know. I'll be pushing out another high-impact video tomorrow based off of what we got today and what we can expect for tomorrow's data. So make sure you guys are here, like and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.